Okay, so now we're going to continue with compositions of functions, only now instead of saying what's f of g of x, we're going to say what's f of g of 0. So here we're actually going to plug numbers into f of x and g of x, and we have our f of x, which is x squared minus 3, and our g of x, which is 5x plus 2. Okay, so we want to do f of g of 0. Okay, and so what this basically is it's f, excuse me, I don't want to do it that way, sorry. We want to take f of x, which is x squared minus 3, so that's, our parentheses. This is, that's representing our x squared minus 3, right? In place of the x, we're just putting parentheses with an open space. Well, what's going to go in for x? Well, we're in for x is g of 0. G of 0, okay? Well, we can now put g of 0 in. Well, what's g of 0? Well, we can take g of x, and in the place of x, we can put a 0. And so what we'll have is 5. Instead of an x, we're going to put a 0 in for x. 5x plus 2, and there's our g of x, or that's our g of 0, and then we're going to square it, and then minus 3. Well, 5 times 0, that's 0, and 0 plus 2 is 2. So what we now have is 2 squared minus 3. 2 squared is 4, and 4 minus 3 is 1. And therefore, f of g of 0, or f of g of 0, is equal to 1. And so now we can do this one here. And if you want to, you could pause the video and try this one on your own before I do it. That way you can see if you get the idea. So we're going to do g of f of negative 4. So we're going to do the outside function. I call it the outside function, is g. So we're going to first write our 5x plus 2. So 5, instead of an x, I'm going to write the open parenthesis plus 2. Okay? And in here, we're going to put in f of negative 4. Okay? So we're going to put f of negative 4 in here. That's what we're plugging in for x. So that's 5. And so f of negative 4, that just means f up here, and we're going to put a negative 4 in for x. This is going to be negative 4 in parentheses, then squared. So we're going to put negative 4 squared minus 3. That is our f of negative 4. And then we have 5 times f of negative 4, and then plus 2. Well, this negative 4 squared, that's 16. And 16 minus 3, that's 13. And so what we have here is 5 times 13 plus 2. And then 5 times 13, well, that's 65. 65 plus 2 is 67. And so that's our final answer. So g of f of negative 4 is 67. And now when we do f of negative 1, we're going to do f of negative 1. Well, f is x squared minus 3. So we're going to do our parentheses squared minus 3. And in the place of x, we're going to put f of negative 1. So f of negative 1. Well, f of negative 1 is x squared minus 3, but with a negative 1 put in for the x. So what we'll have here is this. Then we'll have in parentheses negative 1 squared minus 3. Good. And then that's going to be squared. And then we're going to subtract 3. And so this is going to be equal to, so we have negative 1 squared is 1. And 1 minus 3 is negative 2. So what we're going to have here is negative 2 squared and then minus 3. At negative 2 squared, well, that's 4. And 4 minus 3 is 1. And so then f of negative 1 is 1. Now I want to show you something that I didn't do in the last video that I think would be a good idea. And that is, what if I tried to identify f of x when f of x is a quadratic? This is a little crazy looking. That's why I'm doing it right now. So this is the same thing as saying f of x. Okay? And so what that means is we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to put f of x in parentheses in for x, square it, because we have x squared. So this is f of x squared, and then we're going to subtract 3. So now we're going to replace this f of x with x squared minus 3. So we have x squared minus 3 squared minus 3. It's going to get pretty ugly here, because what I want to show you is we got to take this and square it. We have to have two of these being multiplied by each other. So we're going to have x squared minus 3 times x squared minus 3. So this is x squared minus 3 squared, then we're going to minus 3. Okay? Now in order to do this, we need to distribute. So watch this. We have to do x squared times x squared. Well, x squared times x squared, that's x to the 4th power. X squared times negative 3 is minus 3x squared. Negative 3 times x squared is another minus 3x squared, and then negative 3 times, and then negative 3 times negative 3, that's plus 9, and then we're going to minus 3 from it. So look, we can combine like terms here, and we can combine like terms here. And we wind up with x to the 4th, and then minus 3x squared is minus 6x squared, and then plus 9 minus 3 is plus 6, and that is our final answer. That is f of x. Okay. All right, well, we only have one video left. We're going to try and do this composition function thing with graphs, but hopefully this is starting to make a lot of sense.